Hello and welcome to the Hot Desk, WLR's business programme. I'm Julie Smyth. I'm delighted to have your company on what is a very busy show this week. I'll be talking to Virtual Vet's Sinead Queally on being a regional winner at the National Enterprise Awards. 30 to 40 CEOs of major retailers will be in Waterford on Wednesday as key players in the city persuade them to open outlets here. I'll have the details on that. Enterprise Ireland talk rising global exports, ASG on creating 100 jobs in Waterford, and Jonathan Earle on his year ahead as Chamber President. So stay tuned for all of that. But first, I'm delighted to have in studio with me now, fresh from her win at the National Enterprise Awards this week, Sinead Queally from Waterford company Virtual Vet. Congratulations, Sinead.
Thanks,
you were
Julie.
Selected, so effectively voted as the best business in the south of Ireland.
Yeah, in the south we were up against three Cork local enterprise offices, and for the third year in a row the Waterford local enterprise has won the south region, and we're thrilled, absolutely thrilled with the recognition.
So you're in the southern regional category, so as you say you bet three Cork companies, and I mean the competition is fierce, isn't it? I mean the overall winner was hugely impressive.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Sonia DC with Pestle and Mortar. I mean, it was just a phenomenal story and a brilliant product, and so well presented and explained. And there were no complaints. You couldn't. It was just. It's an honour to actually be a runner up to that product and to that company, and a real inspiration that actually, the local enterprise office network is dealing with some really serious people and potential, and they're helping us on that path. I think we following with them, we can be that in a couple of years' time,
Because Virtual Vet is a really new company, isn't it? I mean, you only set it up.
About 2.5 years.
2017.
Yeah, 2.5 years, really full time at it, and on farms the last 2 years. So it is new, and we've come an awful long way, and we know that absolutely. But the support of Leo has been great, and nights like Wednesday night when you're going, you meet all these other startups and at various stages and enterprises, and you realise that you're not a freak, and that there are things that you're doing, you're doing okay, that others are going through the very same experiences as well. So it's very reassuring and motivating.
And do you get much feedback during the process of applying? And I mean, you were selected in March to represent Waterford, and then a big kind of jump then to the next stage, to the national finals.
Yeah. So in March it was judging locally here, and two judges, and they were great. And the main feedback from them was that the business model, it is new, it's quite complex, and to improve my presentation, I suppose, of that, and that's very valid. Then, so that we did that worked with a very good mentor, Peter Cronin, who was appointed by the Leo, and we did some great work. I was very happy with my pitch to the judges in Athlone then at the beginning of May, and they were very impressed. The feedback during the session and during the question and answer session was they couldn't really believe that there is such a gap in the market for antibiotic usage information, that the assumption had been, well, this is already being done, and it's like, no, it's not being done to this level, and with the engagement of industry, food processors, to really be able to engage with the data and with the usage. So they were very, very impressed and surprised that there's such a gap in the market for what we do. So that feedback was great to get. And then Wednesday night, just meeting other Leos, meeting some people from different departments and government and that enterprise department and that, to again be able to explain what we do, and for them to again validate and go, this actually makes sense, is hugely encouraging.
You really have something here. Yeah. And just, I suppose, explain to people who maybe aren't familiar with Virtual Vet exactly what it is that you do.
Yeah, so we are a data collection service for farmers and for the wider agri-food industry. And our focus started with antibiotics, but we will cover any animal remedies, any drugs that animals receive, food-producing animals. And it's a free service to farmers, so they just tell us, call us, text us, send us a picture, whatever way they want to tell us what they're using on their farm, what's been prescribed by their vet, why they're using it, what was the reason for treatment. And we collect it all for them. They're ready for their Board BIA audits, the quality assurance schemes. But we also, with their permission, and it's fully GDPR compliant, we make it available appropriately to food processors. So again, food processors get a near real-time view of what's actually happening in their supply chain. And it's hugely valuable, because really only when you can see what's going on can you actually make any changes or improvements. So for example, one of the big findings that we've had is the use of critically important antibiotics. And, you know, they are being overused in the supply chain without a doubt. And we have identified that really farmers don't fully understand, I suppose, the products that they're choosing, or just how powerful the products that they're choosing to use are. And also we found a major gap in linking the veterinary product and the active ingredient in the antibiotic to what it would treat in humans. So, for example, there's a drug, Marbacil, which is perfectly legal and effective to use, really good antibiotic, and it does solve problems for animals. However, in humans, it treats meningitis. So really, you know, it should be the last thing that you choose to use. It should really be safeguarded, and that's what the World Health Organization wants. But without really capturing that information and understanding, you know, when it should and shouldn't be used, mistakes or I suppose, you know, less good choices will continue to be made. And that's where we're going next month to a European conference in Switzerland. They've asked us to present our work about how effective it can be when you collect the information, when you present the information, and when farmers and vets can discuss the information, that then you can actually drive change and drive understanding. So we're delighted to be able to demonstrate 2 years of data collection on farms and an increased awareness around antibiotic choices on those farms.
I mean, from listening to you, you'd imagine that this is something that should be mandatory. I mean, there should be stringent regulations around.
There are stringent regulations, and again, there's nothing illegal. All of these drugs are perfectly licensed for animals. It's all within the law and the criteria. What's different about our approach is actually we're monitoring, so that we're identifying, all right, is there a little bit of overuse going on? Is there an alternative that can be used here and stuff? So it's like anything, unless you really build up a picture of what's going on, you won't be able to see simple changes that can actually be made. It's like with plastics, it's like with energy, it's like with water usage. Unless you actually see what's going on, you can't identify where the quick fixes actually can be. You know, so that's what we're trying to do. And
it sounds like something that all that information that you're collecting would be invaluable to food processors then.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it is. And not only, again, for both their own retailers and their consumers, but also for the sustainability of their supply. Like, for example, on the critically important antibiotics, going back to that, you know, there's a reason that they're often chosen. It's because in a lot of cases they would have a shorter withdrawal period, so they don't get into the food can be ready for the food chain a lot quicker. And that's a financial pressure on farmers to try and be, you know, producing. But actually maybe there's a role for industry to go, hold on a second here, we'll wait longer. There isn't the pressure on you to use the critically important and to maybe increase the price that farmers are getting. So there isn't that much financial pressure on farmers to make, you know, to be producing so quickly. And that is something that has come out in research, particularly in the UK, is the financial pressure that farmers are under is forcing them to choose products that will just get the animal better quicker.
Yeah.
So it is a complex issue. Yeah. I know it's a complex issue. So processors to be able to really engage and understand why decisions are being made on farm and with vets could actually help the overall industry.
So would they be your biggest client then? I mean, if farmers can use your service for free, you can gather all this data, you can analyse this data, but I suppose from the point of view of who pays then for that, is that the food processors?
Exactly, that is mostly the food processors, but also government agencies as well, pharmaceutical companies to understand again habits around usage of their drugs, and we're entering a really good, interesting project as well with some vets and and they want to understand more again about the communications and driving better conversations with farmers. The vets are hugely interested in this because they can see changes coming down the line, you know, in terms of the laws and regulations, and they're being very, very proactive, and they're a great bunch of people, like, you know, and they are under their own pressures as well. But food processors, food industry to come on board. And I think even if you look at last weekend's, like the elections, the local elections and the European elections, consumers are demanding higher standards. You know, the likes of the Greens don't frighten people, you know, anymore, and it's great. It's brilliant. And, you know, climate action, all of this is all connected. It's people are actually expecting and demanding better. And we can help by, in this one small area, by illustrating the power of data and taking a pressure away from farmers. But we actually then illustrate and demonstrate the improvements, quick, easy improvements that can be made for industry as well.
Well, you're certainly very persuasive on what it is that you're doing. How are you kind of on the business side of things now? Obviously, huge potential there, and you're only, as you say, kind of 2.5 years down the road now. You must be poised kind of for growth. Are you looking for investment?
We are. We've been approved by Revenue for the Employment Incentive Investment Scheme, the EII scheme, and we're thrilled with that. We have had 2 successful small rounds in that, and we are working with our accountant to push another round of investment in that later this year. Yes, we are absolutely open to investment. There's no doubt about that. Again, Wednesday night, it was a common theme across all the entrepreneurs that yes, of course, investment is of huge importance. But clients, I mean, industry and working with industry and working with government and research projects, anything that we can be doing to help other organisations in the value chain, that is our business model, and that's hugely important for us to be able to sustain this.
Do you still have a job of work to do, do you think, in persuading agencies and food producers, or are they beginning now to realise the importance themselves?
They're absolutely, because the last 6 months has seen an absolute sea change, without a doubt. Again, even pointing into the elections, consumers are absolutely demanding more, but also there is emerging roadmaps and policies from the EU, and the writing is on the wall. They are going to be demanding higher engagement with data and information, because the technology is there and there's no place to hide anymore. So we've seen a massive shift in the last 6 months, a bigger increase in interest, which is great for us. We're delighted.
Well, congratulations again, Sinead. I mean, certainly great company, and I'm sure there's great things in prospect for you, and the best of luck. You're off to that conference you mentioned at the start of next month.
The acting conference, in Switzerland.
Great. And listen, I'm sure we'll talk to you soon again. Sinead Queally from Virtual Vet. Thanks so
Julie.
much.
Thank you.